Hello everyone, hello Worldland Union members, partners and allies. My name is Benjamin Dard and I'm working at Worldland Union as the Senior Advisor for Inclusive and Accessible Urban Development. Today I have the chance to be with my colleague Hannes Lagrelius, who is joining us from Nairobi, Kenya. And Hannes is going to tell us a little bit more about the Worldland Forum 11 and the participation of Worldland Union. Hannes, how are you doing?
I'm doing very well, Benjamin. How are you? How is the weather in Toronto today?
Actually, very warm, We just left winter for a very, very warm and welcoming summer. So can't wait. Can't wait to go outside and enjoy the nice weather.
No, for sure.
You told me you were very excited about the upcoming plan of Worldland Union, which is the participation at the Worldland Forum 11 in Poland. I would love to hear more about that, and I'm sure all members would love to hear more about this as well. And before digging a little bit more into the participation itself, I was curious to know about, why this Worldland Forum is a key event for Worldland Union.
Yeah, well, absolutely, Benjamin. I mean, first, I like to recall that we are becoming more urban as a global population. In just a few decades, by 2050, it is expected that more than 70% of the world's population will be living in large cities, intermediate cities, and urban communities. We already see today the extent of accessibility barriers we as persons who live with who are blind or partially sighted and persons with disabilities in general are facing on a daily basis to live independently in our community. So the pressure is increasing on cities and local governments to adopt strategies and adapt structures to ensure the inclusion of all persons with disabilities and ensuring that spaces, infrastructure, services are accessible to everyone, regardless of disability or age, etc. So recalling also that it is expected that over 2 billion persons with disabilities and older persons will be living in cities. I also like to take this opportunity to reflect a bit on the impacts of and what was showcased during the corona pandemic, where the Worldland Union, for example, did a COVID-19 report and survey which strongly highlights the increased inequalities during the pandemic, and where accessibility barriers have been either new ones have been created or existing ones from before the pandemic have been reinforced. For instance, we have seen that members report about increased barriers to access public transportation, to access health services on an equal basis, to enjoy equal access to education, to shop groceries, to access any services in our communities, not least equal access to information and communication, which has been absolutely critical during a pandemic, not only about the virus itself, but also about government measures and all the changes we have encountered in how our communities operate, which has also posed new barriers for equal participation in our communities. Going back to what this means for cities is that most of us reside in cities today, and cities are also at the epicenter of climate change, humanitarian emergencies, and conflicts. And hence cities since most challenges we face today are in an urban context. And with that said, much actions needs to be done in cities, together with cities and by city authorities. So they are really at the epicenter of many of today's challenges, but also at the epicenter of the solutions we develop to address the barriers we face, to address the major global challenges ahead of us.
Wow, that's brilliant, and I'm very thankful for the explanation you just gave. And if I understand correctly, it means that somehow the Worldland Forum 11 is an answer or actually help designing solution for the future, responding to the different challenges you just mentioned. Is that correct, Hannes?
No, absolutely. And I mean, the background to the World Urban Forum, its 11th session this year, is the new urban agenda for sustainable urban development. The new urban agenda is a shared commitment by the United Nations member states towards more inclusive and resilient urban futures for everyone. And it was adopted in 2016, a year after the adoption of the Sustainable Development Goals by the United Nations member states. And what it tries to do is it tries to create a shared vision for cities across various domains. It really tries to localize the SDGs to the context we are living in, to our community levels, and really to try to promote the role of cities in transforming our communities to become more inclusive and accessible for everyone. I must say that it truly aligns with the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, the CRPD, which we see as our core reference when we are working towards more inclusive and accessible cities for all. And the World Urban Forum 11 is sort of a key premier international conference on sustainable urbanization. And what will happen during this year's conference is that it invites stakeholders from all across local, regional governments, cities, multilateral stakeholders, research academia, civil society, different constituency groups, including organizational persons with disabilities, to come together to draw the roadmap for the years to come in truly implementing the mentioned new urban agenda, also to be in line with the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. The World Urban Forum seeks to stimulate discussions and invites all of these different stakeholders to share their experiences and learnings and really stimulate peer-to-peer learning of where are we now, what have we done, how have we progressed, and what do we need to do differently to address some of the major global challenges we see today.
Yeah, thanks, Hannes. And I just love the way you put this in terms of, having the Convention on the Rights of Persons, which is the core reference for the engagement of World Urban Union and Organization of Persons with Disabilities, and this working together with the new urban agenda to help localize not just human rights, but human rights together with some of the key global development and humanitarian agendas. And you mentioned the Agenda 2030 with the core commitment of leaving no one behind, the SDGs, and of course the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, the Paris Agreement, and all the other framework that need some form of localization, and the new urban agenda can make this real at the local level. That sounds fantastic. And of course, I want to ask you then, what's the plan for you and the team at the World Urban Forum 11? Is there anything particular that you have planned to actually suggest and contribute?
Thank you, Ben. Now, of course, we are participating in the World Urban Forum 11 as part of our global program for inclusive and accessible urban development, initiated by the World Urban Union a few years ago. And the objective of our program, overarchingly, is to increase the influence of our members, our community, and also the disability community as a whole in the implementation of the new urban agenda, so that investments and policies and practices around urban development, the planning, truly aligns with the Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And we see that the World Urban Forum 11 is a great avenue to continue on this journey. And we see that the World Urban Forum is a great milestone to this end, to increase influence, visibility, and also share our practices, our experiences, our expertise, so that we will also have a seat at the table to influence these high-level discussions on sustainable urbanization. At the World Urban Forum 11, which is taking place in Poland, in the city of Katowice, in the end of June this year, we seek to bring a few delegates for in-person participation and some delegates participating virtually, primarily from our own constituency, but also together with other experts from other organization persons with disabilities. We are going to co-organize the official roundtable on persons with disabilities, which is a key session for stimulating discussions together with national governments, cities and local regional governments, OPDs, academia, and the private sector, to really take stock of where we are and where we want to go. Also on aspects of building more resilient communities and towards more inclusive humanitarian action, specifically in light of ongoing conflicts. In addition to this, we plan to, we are not planning, we are going to host a few sessions relating to accessible public spaces for all, since we are also going to launch a unique a co-created and very much unique a semi-academic publication on public spaces. But we also seek to have our delegates meaningfully participating across the official session of the forum, so as to have the opportunity to raise their voices and share their expertise in mainstream dialogues. Also to avoid that disability inclusion and discussions on accessibility are siloed. It's important that we ensure that our voices are heard in mainstream discussions, together with cities and local and regional governments, multilateral stakeholders, academia, etc., so that we truly have a seat at the table to influence the future urban world we want to see.
Thank you, Hannes, and very excited to hear about the plans and particularly the publication on inclusive and accessible public spaces, as I know that for example the issue around shared spaces is currently a hot topic within the World Bank Union community, and of course we need to have some research and dialogues around that particular aspect, especially when it comes to accessibility standards and the implementation at the local level. So thanks a lot for giving us a snapshot of the different activities, and I would love to hear more about the ways that maybe some of our members, allies, and partners can actually participate. I think the event is actually hybrid, which is both like combination of in-person but also as well as online participation. Would you be able to, maybe for those who are interested, who would like to participate, like how can they do that? Is there a website? Can we register? Is it free? All sorts of questions. Maybe can you give us just a quick overview of how to proceed?
Absolutely. Thank you, Benjamin. Now, I mean, first of all, I'd just like to mention that our participation as the World Bank Union is framed as part of a stakeholder group called the General Assembly of Partners, a partner constituency group of persons with disabilities, which the WBU is currently co-chairing. This gives us the opportunity to also work across the disability community, ensuring that the advocacy we do is done as a collective. Regarding participation, as you mentioned, Benjamin, it is totally free to participate in the forum. The forum is mostly done through a hybrid format, and everyone is encouraged to register online. And the official website is wuf.unhabitat.org. And there you can also browse the draft program and learn more about the scope of the forum, what topics will be discussed and focused upon, and also how you can participate. And we will also share more information as we go about the events we plan to do, and where we are co-organizing different events and sessions, and where our delegates will be speaking. So please follow us also on this throughout our social media channels. As mentioned before, you're highly encouraged to register online. And when you do, please let us know, and we will share more information with you also on what we are up to and how we can reinforce each other's advocacy. So please do tag us when you're participating across different events. And also, if you like to reinforce some of the key advocacy messages we will be sharing.
That's fantastic, Hannes. And we know that, so many World Bank Union members are doing great work at the local level, supporting governments and, private sector to actually make the difference when it comes to inclusion and accessibility in the local communities. And of course, we would love to hear from all of us, all of our members who are doing that work, so we can also, joint our advocacy effort and support amplifying voices across the globe and across that particular conference. Before I say goodbye, Hannes, is there maybe a last word, something you would like to share with us?
Yeah, no, thank you, Benjamin. Just lastly, I just wanted to express our sincere gratitude for those who make our participation at the World Urban Forum and the WBO programming around inclusive and accessible urban development possible. And I specifically want to highlight the financial contributions from CBM Global Disability Inclusion and the Swiss Development Corporation. Without you, this would not enabling us to be, together with our partners, at the forefront of inclusive and accessible urban development would not have been possible. So thank you for working with us to ensure that our voices are heard and are ultimately accounted for on how we transform our cities and urban communities to become more inclusive and accessible for everyone. And thank you, Benjamin, for excellent moderation today. And I'm happy to see everyone either in person or virtually at the World Urban Forum 11 this June.
Thank you very much, Hannes. And as you just said, see you in 30 days, right?
Yeah, time is going fast on the highway to WOOF.
Thank you, everyone. And see you soon.
Thank you.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.